The pre-made starter decks are a great place to begin deck building in Legends of Runeterra, but it can be daunting to know how to upgrade these decks into more competitive versions. This video will talk through 3 versions of each deck. I will start off by discussing the pre-made decks, followed by a look at how to upgrade each deck in a budget way. I will finally finish off with a competitive version of each deck to eventually build towards once you have more cards available. A mid-range deck is the type of deck somewhere between an aggro and control deck in pace, seeking to obtain victory during the mid-game. It has a very varied mana cost, with most appearing with a cost around 3. Buff and Tuff focuses on early choices like Fleet Feather Tracker before building into an endgame threat through Tryndamere and Garen. Big threats like They Who Endure can swing in for major damage too, and can be backed up by utility followers like Babbling Bjerg and Kindly Tavern Keeper. Cards like Take Heart can buff smaller allies like Laurent Protege and make them survive till that mid-game finish you are aiming for. Cheap spells like Radiant Strike can also be used to buff your allies. This synergizes further with cards like Starlit Seer to make sure your units are well and truly as buffed as possible. More importantly, your strongest followers and champions are backed up by spells like Judgment, which can force a reset if used on one of your strongest allies to clear the field. In my opinion, Judgment is one of the best cards in the game, and one of the epic cards you are given in the Demacia Premade Deck. An easy combo with this card is to use Babbling Bjerg to draw out a high power card like Alpha Wildclaw, and then use Judgment to wipe out your opponent's side of the field. My budget upgrade to this deck interestingly involves removing a champion. Lux is a fantastic card, but just does not fit in line with the buff and tough theme of the deck, so I've removed her. For a quicker ramp to mid-game, I've included 2 of Osran Sentry, which allows you to draw 2 cards when it dies. This deck relies on keeping as many followers alive as possible, so Brightsteel Protector with its barrier will help support you with this. Grizzled Ranger is one of my favourite new cards, so I've included this with his counter-loyal part, Loyal Badger Bear, which is a very efficient free drop. Scout is a very competitive keyword that has been added to the game, and allows scout units to have their own rally before attacking with the other units, so effectively you're going to get 2 rounds of attack. Grizzled Ranger is a scout unit, and I've included 3 of these in the deck. Fury of the North is one of the best new buff cards added to the game, which grants a unit full power and health for the round. This can be used to win those crucial trades, or to keep a key unit alive. The competitive version of this deck has a lot of similar cards, but focuses more on buffing Braum and Fiora. It also has new followers such as Silverwing Scout, which was recently renamed Silverwing Diver, to challenge key opposing units. This deck also takes advantage of the Frostbite keyword with Rimtusk Shaman and spells like Flash Freeze. The aim of this deck is to keep Fiora alive as long as possible to get 4 kills and win the game in whatever means you can. In most cases, this involves buffing her with cards like Stand Alone and using Frostbite cards to prevent her taking any additional damage. A lethal combo can be using Judgment on her for an instant win, or Unyielding Spirit to prevent her taking any damage or dying. The Deaths and Spiders deck is the most aggro out of all the pre-made decks, and involves early game aggression in the form of Elise and late game aggression in the form of Darius. As you can see from the image, a lot of cards have a low mana cost, with over half the cards having a cost of 3 or below. In the early game, you'll be using cards like Hapros Aristocrat, House Spider, and Vile Feast to swarm the board with Spiderlings. Spiderlings are fantastic at blocking the attacks of opponents' cards whilst dealing quick and cheap hits to the enemy's Nexus. As you transition to mid-game, you'll benefit from killing your units with cards like Phantom Prankster and the Undying. Phantom Prankster deals 1 damage to your opponent's Nexus every time a card dies, and the Undying revives itself with an additional 1 health and damage every time it dies. Combo these cards with spells like Glimpse Beyond and Black Spear to gain further benefit from killing your spiders and other units. You'll be looking to have a full board of spiders by endgame. A leveled up Elise and crowd favourite will be one of your easy win methods if you can fill the board. With a leveled up Elise, you'll be looking to win through a fearsome lockdown, or using a high statted crowd favourite's overwhelm. Hopefully by the end of the game, your opponent's Nexus should have less than 10 health, so Darius can level up and also take advantage of using overwhelm to crush your opponent. As you can see from the budget upgrade to the starter deck, the best way I feel to upgrade the deck is to boost your early game aggression with now 28 cards having a cost of 3 or under. I've introduced Arena Battlecast as the starter deck upgrade. It grants every attacking ally an additional 1 damage, which works perfectly if you have a board full of low cost spiders at the start of the game. Use this with cards like House Spider to quickly tear apart your opponent's Nexus before they have a chance to react. Another early game addition to this starter deck is Crawling Sensation. If an ally died this round, it has the effect to summon 2 spiderlings. On top of being able to use this whenever one of your spiders dies, try to synergize it with other death theme cards like Glimpse Beyond. Frenzied Skitterer is the missing spider from the pre-made starter deck. Use this when you're preparing for your big finish by buffing all your allied spiders whilst lowering the enemy's power by 1. In an ideal world, you'll be able to lower the enemy's power to under 3 so they won't be able to block your fearsome spiders. The pre-made starter deck has a tougher time closing the game if it's dragged to late. I've added more crowd favourites to help finish off the opponent with Overwhelm. The competitive version of this deck is even more aggressive than the previous versions of this deck, with 33 out of 40 with a mana cost of 3 or below. The key additions to this deck are replacing Darius with Draven to have an even more aggressive start to the game, using his Whirling Blades to make sure you take out every opponent. Decisive Maneuver is one of your big finish cards which stuns an opponent's card and grants all your allies an additional 2 power. Use this when you have a full board to maximise the number of allies that gain this power. The Spells and Stealth deck is a different form of aggression to the Deaths and Spiders deck, and aims for a mid-game finish with elusive and burn spells. It contains one of the most overpowered 2-drops in the game at the moment, Boom Crew Rookie, which deals an additional 2 damage every time it attacks. Try to keep this card alive as long as possible with health potions, which heal a card or your Nexus by 3. Ionia has the most elusive cards in the game, with Greenglade Duo and Shadow Assassin being 2 fantastic cards that quickly scrape your opponent's Nexus health. Use this alongside burn spells like Mystic Shot and Get Excited, and it doesn't matter what your enemy has on the field, as direct combat does not matter. Piltover and Zaun has some of the best utility spells in the game, like Twin Disciplines and Will of Ionia. Use Twin Disciplines to make sure you either keep cards alive or kill key opposing cards. Use Will of Ionia to only keep the cards on the field that you want, whether this is getting rid of an enemy or saving an ally. In the later part of the game, you'll have the fantastic buff card Jewel Protector that gives a card in your hand free power and health. Use this on elusive cards or even Zed, as his Living Shadows will also gain that free power, free health buff. To finish off in late game, you have the Empyrean, which has one of the best stats in the game out of all the elusive cards. Throughout the game, you can also take advantage of fantastic spells cards like Thermogenic Beam, which can be used early or late depending on the target. In Expedition mode, it actually has one of the highest win rates. The budget upgrade to this deck has a few changes to make it flow slightly better. I never really felt Golden Crush but offered much to the Spells and Stealth deck, so it's been replaced with 2 used Cask Salesmen to fit more in line with the burn theme of the deck. I've also added Keeper of the Mask, which is a fantastic way of buffing your elusive army. This synergizes perfectly with Greenglade Duo, which gains power whenever a card is summoned. There aren't many Ionia and Piltover and Zaun competitive decks that feature Zed and Jinx, so my competitive suggestion for these 2 regions features Ezreal and Karma. This is a combo deck rather than aggro. I've added 3 denies to the deck, which in my opinion is one of the best cards in the game. It enables you to prevent the activation of a non-burst spell card or even an opposing skill. Use this to completely ruin your opponent's game plan. Ezreal Being an elusive card that creates burn spells fits perfectly in line with the theme of the previous two Ionia and Piltover and Zaun decks discussed. This deck features Claw of the Dragon, which is a new 2-cost card, which can be summoned from your hand for free after you play 2 spells in a round. You should have a decent number of cheap spells such as Rummage and Jury Rig, so this is a free power, 2 health card, which will give you a great bit of tempo. Another 2 cost is Eye of the Dragon, which summons a Dragling if you cast 2 spells in the previous round, once again fitting in line with the spell slinging theme of the deck. In late game, you have Karma, which can be leveled up when enlightened. When leveled up, you'll get 2 versions of all your burn spells, which will tear through your enemy's nexus, and you won't even have to rely on combat. Hopefully this video has given you a bit more of an understanding of what the budget decks involve and how to upgrade them. Once again, thank you very much for listening, guys, and please like and subscribe, as this truly motivates me to kind of keep making more content and keep doing what I'm doing. My question of the day is, what is your favorite pre-made starter deck? Thank you very much, guys, and see you next time.